Ordinary People was released in 1980. It is directed by Robert Redford, stars Donald Sutherland, Mary Tyler Moore, and Timothy Hutton. The film won Best Picture at the Academy Awards the following year, and I have stayed away from it for quite some time because it always looked quite dull to me. I've been going through the Best Picture winners, and there's a few that, like, there's this one, there's another one called Out of Africa, both from the 80s, where they just look a little bit dull to me. So it's taken me a while to get to it, but because I'm that completionist, I want to see all the Best Pictures. Finally bit the bullet, and this time this is the one I chose, and I'm gutted I stayed away so long from this film, to be honest, because it's fantastic. The story follows this family. They're quite an affluent family, rich family, and they've lost one of their sons. So the two parents, played by Moore and Sutherland, the mother and father, they've lost one of their two sons. The other son, the youngest son, feels responsible for the death of the other, of his brother, basically in this boating accident. And he has been in a psychiatric institution for some time. He's been let out for I think they say 6 weeks at one point in the film, and he's just really trying to deal with all this. You know, he had a suicide attempt as a result. What you've got is a father who is trying to hold the whole family, what's left of the family, together in Donald Sutherland's character, and then you've got the mother who always loved the dead son more than the one that's alive, which is, yeah, I mean, that's a pretty tough notion to chew on in and of itself, but it's all about her kind of blaming him and not being able to see past it, really. Now, the son that remains alive, the one that we get to follow during this film, is played by Timothy Hutton. And I've seen Timothy Hutton in various films over the years as an older guy. He's never really blown me away. I was always like, he's one of those actors that when he pops up, I'm not set against him or anything. I don't think he's a bad actor, but he's not one that makes me go, oh yeah, I've got to watch that film. Timothy Hutton's in it. So yeah, I think that's partly one of the things that put me off here as well, is that like I like Donald Sutherland, not necessarily a big fan of Mary Tyler Moore. She's never done anything for me personally. And again, Timothy Hutton, knowing that he's essentially the main character in this, I was like, all right, I'll get to it when I get to it. I've got to say, Timothy Hutton's performance in this film is phenomenal. I look at what he's doing here, the way he moves me during this film, the way he sucks me into this character, and I'm like, how did this guy not have a better career, a much more illustrious career after this performance? It's staggering to me. I think there's a few actors and actresses that have been like that over time, where there's one particular film where you're like, wow, okay, who's that? And then they just never quite live up to what they delivered there. So lightning certainly struck, in terms of script. And Redford as a director, he's not a particularly strong visual director, but he is what you would call an actor's director. Being an actor himself, he knows what makes actors tick. He knows how to communicate with actors. And that absolutely shows in this film. All the actors, for the most part, are really great, are on fine form. There is one particular scene where Mary Tyler Moore has to do... There's a tipping point right near the end of the film, and it forces her character to make a decision, the wrong decision, I think, judging it from the audience perspective. She has this scene where all this emotion kind of wells up in her, and I think the way she plays that was just a little bit... Okay, I didn't quite nail that one, did we? That's just me, personally. Other people may say otherwise, but everyone else in this film is great. Now, and don't get me wrong, throughout the rest of the film, I think Mary Tyler Moore delivers what needs to be delivered. This isn't a likeable character at all. I think she's got that going against her as a performer. There's no way, I think, to deliver this character and make her likable, especially given the choices she makes right near the end of the film. It's just, okay, this is a family that's disintegrating. I think mostly because of her. It's a tough role, is all I'm saying. So by the time we get to that moment that I was just talking about, I guess I don't care so much for that character by that point, that I'm just like, all right, whatever, move on. But everyone else, like Sutherland, I mean, I'm a big fan of Donald Sutherland anyway. I really like him. He makes a very good father figure, I think, and I think the fact that he is playing a good father in this, this is someone who wants the best for his family, who's trying to keep them together, who's he's trying to love his wife despite a lot of the stuff she's throwing his way, whilst also defending his son and trying to help his wife see the best in her son. So it's a real admirable character. I do think that the center stage, really, the one that the film really focuses on the most is this boy, this young man played by Timothy Hutton. So a lot of it rests on Hutton's shoulders as an actor, and I think he more than meets the challenge. I really like this guy. I really feel for this guy as he's dealing with this trauma, and he sees a psychiatrist. So much of the film is almost in a Goodwill Hunting kind of way. It doesn't have the whole intelligence factor going where it's like all these kind of games and stuff, but there is a lot of stuff in here that kind of reminds me of Goodwill Hunting, where you've got this psychologist trying to bring stuff out of him, trying to cut through all the crap and all the side steps and bring him back on track to thinking about what's actually important, what's going on underneath. All that stuff I find really engaging, and I don't know if that's just because I have a innate interest in psychology and what makes us tick and get into grips with our past and things. But I do find all that stuff really interesting. Those scenes in particular between the psychologist, played by Judd Hirsch, or Hirsch, is it Hirsch? Judd Hirsch, yeah, and obviously Timothy Hutton in the central role. I love all those scenes. They're very heartfelt. They're very touching. And by the time we get to the later ones, I am really holding back tears. So it's an emotional ride. It's a very emotional film, but it's not manipulative. This is the thing. One of the things I noticed was the lack of music for much of this film. There's moments of score peppered throughout, but it's kind of like reworkings of classicals like Vivaldi, things like that. But for the most part, there's very little music. There are whole scenes, like stuff in the psychologist's office and even in the family home, stuff at the end that should be like, in any other Hollywood movie, you would expect music to rouse up and, to really pluck at those heartstrings. And it's just not needed. And I think that's a testament to Redford's direction with the actors and their performance, as well as the script. Those three things combined are just, they're on expert form because, like I say, if you can play a scene out and not use music to manipulate the emotions, then everything it's born out of those performances and the writing. So yeah, fantastic job is what I'm saying. The ending is both a downer and kind of tinged with hope as well. Like I say, I think there are a lot of Hollywood movies that, and I was expecting this to be honest, where things get wrapped up in a way that kind of brings the family back together. They all deal with this trauma in some way and then become stronger as a result. And it doesn't work out that way. And part of you kind of left there going, wow, okay, that's how we're ending up. But I mean, that's life, This is how a lot of families do end up, unfortunately. But there is hope there, I think, in the relationship that survives between the son and the father. The son comes out of it at the end changed for the better, having dealt with certain things. And I mean, they all do. It's just Not necessarily for the better. They all come out changed, but not necessarily for the better. But certainly, like in terms of the father and the son, that there is hope there for a future that seems somewhat brighter. But like I say, it is tinged with that tragedy because this is no longer a complete family. But yeah, so a complex film, more complex than you might anticipate. And very touching, very moving. So just great drama. What drama is all about, really. Designed to move you, and it did considerably. So, Ordinary People, Best Picture winner, probably quite deserving, I would say, to some degree. I mean, it wouldn't have been my best picture of that year, but certainly wouldn't be far behind. It'd probably be in my nominees. So yeah, but what about you? Have you seen Ordinary People? And if so, what did you think about it? Leave your thoughts down in the comment section below. Thank you for watching this review, and until next time, crack in.